to everyone. This is going to be a great evening. I want to thank a whole bunch of people, and I might be a little redundant because it's necessary. Did you see the signs? Get engaged, stay engaged. Thank you to the Yard Goats, Tim and Tiffany, and all the Yard Goats people. Thank you. Stand up. Stand up. The Yard Goats are in the house. Thank you for making this beautiful place available. To all of you parents, how many of you, is this your first time in this room? Raise your hand. In this room. How many of you, this is the first time to the stadium? You got to come back. Now, if you need to get into this room, see Tim or Tiffany or Eric. This is my first time in this room, and I'm a very good friend of Eric's. My first time in the room. But listen, thank all these folks that the Yard Goats have provided around the corner. And there's the DJ, Jimmy Green. Jimmy Green. Jimmy is a Marine veteran. I went over and said, hello, I'm Army. And he said, everybody can't be perfect. You believe that? But Jimmy has been to Iraq 2 times, Afghanistan 2 times, Bosnia 2 times. So give Jimmy and all the veterans a hand. I don't want to steal your uniform, I'll tell you right now. We have all these ribbons and all this, but back to parents. You've heard it before, it takes a village to raise a child. Somebody asked me, I gave a speech, it was a wonderful speech to about 1,000 people. In the question and answer period, someone says, let me ask you this, Mr. Mcneil, how many kids do you have that go to school in Hartford? I was living in Burlington at the time. I said, about 25,000. Shut the kids in the house. Shut him down. They're all my kids. They're all your kids. I believe in the involvement of everybody. So, before we go any farther, let's key up the first video. Pay attention, I've got a few questions. Hit it with the video.
I have spent my entire life either at the schoolhouse, on the way to the schoolhouse, or talking about what happens in the schoolhouse. Both my parents were educators. My maternal grandparents were educators. And for the past 40 years, I've done the same thing. And so needless to say, over those years, I've had a chance to look at education reform from a lot of perspectives. Some of those reforms have been good, some of them have been not so good. And we know why kids drop out. We know why kids don't learn. It's either poverty, low attendance, negative peer influences. We know why. But one of the things that we never discuss, or we rarely discuss, is the value and importance of human connection. Relationships. James Comer says that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. George Washington Carver says all learning is understanding relationships. Everyone in this room has been affected by a teacher or an adult. For years, I have watched people teach. I have looked at the best and I've looked at some of the worst. A colleague said to me one time, they don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson, the kids should learn it, I should teach it, they should learn it, case closed. Well, I said to her, you know, kids don't learn from people they don't like. She said, that's just a bunch of hooey. And I said to her, well, your year is gonna be long and arduous, dear. Needless to say, it was. Some people think that you can either have it in you to build a relationship or you don't. I think Stephen Covey had the right idea. He said you ought to just throw in a few simple things, like seeking first to understand as opposed to being understood. Simple things like apologizing. You ever thought about that? Tell a kid you're sorry, they're in shock. I taught a lesson once on ratios. I'm not real good with math, but I was working on it. And I got back and looked at that teacher edition. I taught the whole lesson wrong. So I came back to class the next day and I said, look, guys, I need to apologize. I taught the whole lesson wrong. I'm so sorry. They said, that's okay, Miss Pearson. You were so excited. We just let you go. I have had classes that were so low, so academically deficient that I cried. I wondered, how am I going to take this group in 9 months from where they are to where they need to be? And it was difficult. It was awfully hard. How do I raise the self-esteem of a child and his academic achievement at the same time? One year I came up with a bright idea. I told all my students, you were chosen to be in my class. Because I am the best teacher and you are the best students, they put us all together so we could show everybody else how to do it. One of the students said, really? I said, really? We have to show the other classes how to do it. So when we walk down the hall, people will notice us. So you can't make noise, you just have to strut. And I gave him a saying to say, I am somebody. I was somebody when I came. I'll be a better somebody when I leave. I am powerful and I am strong. I deserve the education that I get here. I have things to do, people to impress, and places to go. And they said, yeah. You say it long enough, it starts to be a part of you. And so, I gave a quiz, 20 questions. Student missed 18. I put a +2 on this paper and a big smiley face. He said, Miss Pearson, is this an F? I said, yes. He said, then why'd you put a smiley face? I said, because you on the roll. You got 2 right, you didn't miss them all. I said, and when we review this, won't you do better? He said, yes, ma'am, I can do better. You see, -18 sucks all the life out of you. +2 said, I ain't all bad. For years, I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. And kids can be cruel. And so she kept those things in her desk, and years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, you know, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear. Can we stand to have more relationships? Absolutely. Will you like all your children? Of course not. And you know your toughest kids are never absent. Never. You won't like them all, and the tough ones show up for a reason. It's the connection, it's the relationships. And while you won't like them all, the key is they can never, ever know it. So teachers become great actors and great actresses, and we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Educators, authorities, and experts claim that our public education system is in the midst of a crisis. While they don't often agree on the solution, their prescriptions have one common ingredient: family engagement.
And so the question is whether all of us, as citizens and as parents, are willing to do what's necessary to give every child a chance to succeed. That responsibility begins not in our classrooms, but in our homes.
A very important part of the educational process is to involve the parents.
To really involve parents and the entire community in ensuring that public education improves.
If we can have parental involvement, that's huge and terrific.
It is well documented and plain common sense that parental involvement in a child's education boosts student learning and improves both behavior and student attendance.
Unfortunately, there are still studies coming out that show that many parents feel that the total responsibility for the education of their students is the schools and the teacher. And that's not true.
There are no excuses. Because when you are in the building, boys see a good example, girls see a good example, and children will change their behavior just because they know you.
When I walk into a school with parent volunteers, community partners, I can just feel the difference in the building.
Our highest achieving kids always have parental support. What does that tell us? We've got to get parental support for more of our kids.
You've got to let your kid know you're invested. So when they come home, ask them, can I see your homework? Ask them, what did they do in school?
So that piece, that collaboration piece that I talked about before, more and more and more, I see that as the most important factor of helping kids learn.
Schools can't do it all by themselves, okay? And if we don't find ways to engage parents, then we're not going to get it done.
My mom showed up in my school, scared me to death. She would look the teacher in the eye and say, my child will get an A in this class. It's either going to be your fault or his fault. If it's his fault, I'll take care of him at home. But if it's your fault, I'm coming back here.
I'm telling you, if everybody who is a parent who is listening right now went to your school and said to the teacher, tell me what I can do to help you help my child, you would get a different level of respect, and you would get a different level of return for your child. Would you not?
Look, everybody knows the kids whose parents show up, you can't help it by human nature. You pay particular attention to those children.
I'm not going to deny it's difficult because all the factors that we've been talking about all weekend play into that. The employment issues, let's just take one of them, and the stress of lower income families and just trying to exist make it difficult, obviously, to get involved. Right. But I think we have to start from the belief, a real belief, that family engagement is not external to the process of education.
In the end, there is no program or policy that can substitute for a parent. For a mother or father who will attend those parent-teacher conferences, or help with homework, or turn off the TV, put away the video games, read to their child. I speak to you not just as a president, but as a father, when I say that responsibility for our children's education must begin at home. That is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. That's an American issue.
I miss Obama. If you're with me, just make a little noise. Who misses Obama? Oh my goodness. That's all I got to say. I'm going to go on to another learning leader. Eric is fortunate that he has folks at the top of this organization that get the importance of parental engagement. I'm going to call on one of them next, the Superintendent of CREC Schools. There he comes, Tim Sullivan, native-born, nephew of a mayor. If he ran for mayor, I'm not going to say anything else. Tim Sullivan, the Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you, John. Is this on? Here. You go one. I think it's on now. Never take a mic away from John Motley. You put yourself at risk when you do that. So those of you that know me know that I like to keep it real. So I'm going to talk a little bit different tonight than you might expect to hear from the superintendent. Parent engagement is critically important, but the school system needs to recognize the difficulties and the obstacles that are in the way of parent engagement. I don't believe we get anywhere by blaming students for not learning or blaming parents for not being engaged. And so what we've been doing since I became superintendent 15 months ago is we've turned the spotlight on ourselves and we've said, what are we doing? What can we do better in order to make the life of a parent easier, not harder? My son is 20 years old. I can tell you without a doubt that it is harder to raise a child today than it was if he was born 20 years ago. And it's harder today and 20 years ago than it was in the past. We have a lot of people, myself included, who like to think about, oh, what would the ideal family look like? And what would the ideal setting for a child? And where does the parent engagement come in? And how does all this fit together? But the truth is that our students are under siege right now. They live in a world that is ever more disconnected. Their social connections with each other aren't real. They're not face-to-face. They're not humanistic. They're through electronics. Our relationships with our own children happens more often through text than it does a hug. And that's something that is real about the situation we're in. And so as we're strategizing about how we're going to do better for our children and how we're going to make family engagement better, we have to understand that the children of today are different than the ones we're used to, and we need to come up with some new strategies. So that's number one. Number two, let's be honest about what parents have gone through with the school system. At CREC, we have half of our parents have come from Hartford. Half of our students come from Hartford, half of our parents are from Hartford. I've been in Hartford my whole life. I've been an educator for 30 years. I taught for 12 years at Weaver High School, assistant principal 4 years at Buckley. I was a principal of Classical Magnet. I still live in Hartford. I grew up in the Blue Hills neighborhood on Canterbury Street. And I know that there are parents, and some of them may be sitting in this room tonight, that are not the beneficiaries of a school system. They are the victims of an inadequate school system. They went to a school where they didn't make those relationships with teachers. They went to a school where they didn't feel like they were loved and cared for. They went to a school that allowed them to drop out, that allowed them to not come to school and not get called on it, that allowed them to go home with no homework, that didn't prepare them for anything after high school if they did graduate. Those families that I was the educator of when I was at Weaver High School are now our parents. And I'm asking them to trust me. I'm asking them to work with me. And they're looking at me and they're saying, Mr. Sullivan, you were there, you know, when I was at Weaver High School or when I was at Hartford High or Buckley, and you saw me in the hallway, you knew those teachers weren't doing right by me. And why should I trust the educational system? Why should I trust you as an educator? Why should we trust my child's principal or my child's teacher to do any better for them than you guys did for me 20 years earlier? That's real. And so when we talk about family engagement at CREC, we got to think differently. We have to understand the students that we have, and we have to understand the situations that our parents are coming from. And it's not a parent's fault that they don't trust the educational system. It's not. Because the education system didn't do right by all parents. And so what are we doing and how are we doing it differently? Well, we are starting the conversation with listening. It has to start with listening. We don't need to get better at communicating to you We need to get better at listening to you. And we need to create opportunities for us to listen. We need to create opportunities for you to have a voice. Every single parent, not just the loudmouth ones that run the PTO, if there may be some of those in the room, no offense. Not just the ones that have the background and the history and the education to challenge the principal about the pedagogy or the curriculum, but every parent deserves to have a voice in our schools. And what we have to do is we have to create space for that. We have to create space for that. So how do we do that? Well, we hired Eric Crawford and the Family Resource Center team to set up camp on Albany Avenue, so you don't need to go down to the Board of Education. You don't need to come to 111 Charter Oak Avenue to be heard. You can do that in the neighborhood. We've also invested $1 million this year into family and community engagement specialists. Family and community engagement specialists, please stand up so everybody can see who you are. Let's give them a hand. All right, now let's keep it real. They don't look like the typical CREC educators, right? We've hired deliberately people from the community that are going to go out into the community and listen, not lecture. People that want to listen and build relationships with everybody in the school, not just the most affluent parents, not just the ones that have lawyers, not just the ones that have loud mouths, but with every single parent. And so we've made $1 million investment to try to do things differently. Is it going to work? Fingers crossed, I hope it does. Because I believe that if we give parents the opportunity to be heard, they'll tell us what we need to know. And if we listen, we can help them. And if we help them, we can become a team. And if we become a team, we can break down the trust issues that exist. And if we break down the trust issues that exist, we can demonstrate to the children that we both serve as parents and as educators that they got a chance because we're together behind them. If they think we're not together behind them, we will not win. And so they have to see that. And we're not going to make people trust us. We're going to build an opportunity for people to begin to trust us. And what I need everybody in this room to do is I need everybody in this room to say, Mr. Sullivan said that we have a voice. Mr. Sullivan said that we should be heard. Mr. Sullivan said that he cares what we think. And so we will find a way to get our voice. We started a parent senate. How many people here know about the parent senate? Raise your hand. Okay, so we have a parent senate. 2 parents from every school, 1 from Hartford, 1 from the suburbs. I meet with them every month, and we talk, and I listen for 2 hours. It's like a board meeting with no board. It's a superintendent and 32 parents. Some of you are on the parent senate, you know. Everything's not great, but we're working through it, right? And we're giving the parents an opportunity to have a voice. They're talking to us about what they want to do about a uniform policy or what they want to do about the budget. They're having a voice in the school system. And that's our responsibility, is to give you the voice. Your responsibility is to take that opportunity and use it. So there's some really good work up here that I saw in those videos about parent engagement. I'm trying to say, we know that the system isn't broken because the parents and the families are broken. The system is broken because the school system is broken when it comes to family engagement. So we're going to try to do it differently. If you have ideas, see one of those family and parent engagement specialists. Talk to Doug Mccorkle, who couldn't be here tonight. His family's got an illness. His mother is sick, an emergency, so he couldn't be here tonight. But he and that team are here to listen and to get word to the powers that be Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Florio, Dr. Florio, and the other principals about what we need so we can make this better for our kids. All right, who's with me? Hold me accountable to what I said here tonight. Hold me accountable to what I said here tonight. Do not let it go unnoticed. You have a voice, and your voice will be heard. Thank you.
In the 2 minutes allotted to him, Tim Sullivan just packed a lot in, didn't he? Thank you, Tim. Awesome. I had brunch Sunday with someone that I met in 1990. And I kind of took her on as my mentee. And 10 years ago, she started calling me her chosen dad. I'm very proud of that. Her name is Madeline Sebastian, and she still works in the school system. She says when she worked for Tim Sullivan, he was the best boss she ever had, just so you know. So, give him another hand. Thank you. We're going to switch. We have community partners here who are also deeply involved in parental engagement. I talked about them a little bit earlier, but I'm going to call on the two people representing the yard goats to come forward. I don't know how you're splitting the 2 minutes. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you 3. So, Tim Restall, who's the president of the yard goats, has stepped up first, and then Tiffany Young, who will come up next. Go ahead.
Well, I know Tiffany's going to hit a home run when she gets up, so I'll just strike out real quickly and be on our way. So, first of all, thank you all for coming for Dunkin' Donuts Park. When Eric approached me and said, "Listen, we want to do this CREC event here. It's about family involvement with students," I said, "We're in." And as you know, in baseball, I had to look it up today because our record this year was 66-72. And as president of the organization, you would think I would know our baseball schedule, but I don't have any clue about it because the baseball is secondary. What we do in the community is our first and foremost, and some of the things that I'm very proud of, and Tiffany will talk about. But when we talk about getting kids involved in the ballpark, baseball's the hook. But really, as you look at it, and really what it becomes, it's about family engagement. And I met a couple this year with 2 young kids, and they were coming to the game, and I saw them multiple times, and I went up and I introduced myself because I don't have anything to do during the game, so I walk around and shake hands and give high fives and talk. And they said, "This is our family vacation. We come to 5 games this year, and it's our family time to be involved, and we leave our phones at home, and we just spend time together." And we're all very busy in life and, going in 100 directions. But I always thought the ballpark is so much more than baseball, so that if it can be utilized for someone to spend time with their kids and listen to them and ask them about how's it going, and that they can spend the time together, the ballpark's a home run. So I want to thank you all for coming today. Appreciate you guys visiting Dunkin' Donuts Park. We'll see you back here in the summertime. And I'll bring Tiffany Young up right now.
Good evening, everyone. So I will be very short. Eric asked me to speak to you today about the Hartford Yard Goats' commitment to community and why community is so important to us. Well, I hope that by now you know, recognize, and understand that we, the Hartford Yard Goats, are more than just baseball. I usually tell people in preference conversations by admitting that I was never hired here for my knowledge of baseball, because the truth is I came on board with little to no knowledge of the sport. However, this organization and I had one thing in common: passion for making a difference in the community, in the lives of our young people. I asked Eric who would make up the majority of the audience tonight, and he told me you, the parents. Well, I thought to myself, well, that's great. It's great because community starts with our families. As a parent myself, I often find myself having to remind my son that there is greatness within him. As mothers, we birth our children, but as parents, role models, educators, business leaders, and mentors, it is our job to nurture our young people. Many of our children don't realize that a seed has already been planted inside of them. Whereas a human baby takes 9 months to form and birth, the baby called greatness living inside our children takes years. As parents, we make mistakes and we have failures, but we must begin to learn to fail forward, not for our own sakes, but for the sake of our own children. Parents, we are not perfect, nor can we expect our children to be. However, when we have a community of people who care, from the CREC Family Resource Centers to the local YMCAs to the leadership right here at the Hartford Yard Goats, we have a community, a family of folks encouraging our children, our students, our future community and business leaders to birth greatness. I challenge you today, every parent, educator, business professional, and community leader to nurture, remind, and assist all the students that we have in this CREC program. Assist them with giving birth to greatness. These young people not only need us as community, but they must be reminded that they are the future of our community. As we leave this building today and go back to our day-to-day routines tomorrow, get busy in the coming weeks, we now hold the responsibility of helping our young people birth a community of greatness. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I met her at church and now she's preaching. Lord have mercy. Oh, this is a Renaissance woman, just in case you didn't know. She's a playwright and she directs dance and musicals and all kind of stuff. You got her cheat, you know. I'm her negotiator. We'll talk about a raise later. Kim, I said you were next, but I'm going to interrupt it and bring in the clergy. Could all the members of the clergy stand up? Meanwhile, Pastor Lane, you can start coming up. But could all members of the clergy raise your hands? Amen. Amen. How am I doing thus far? Okay, I might need some forgiveness later on, but for now, Pastor Lane, talk to us about what you're doing for the community. I know, but the people need to know.
Thank you, Brother Motley. I know we want to eat, but good evening, everyone. I know this is a difficult time of the day, and so I will have a quick takeoff and a quick landing. That'd be all right? Now, I don't know, are you a group that talks to people? Or, I mean, can I get you to talk? Or would that be permissible? Yes. I heard about 10 people. Can I get you to talk if I need you? Yes. All right, well, listen, I'm Pastor Lane. I live on Canterbury Street, raised 4 kids in this area as well. One of the things that is so important to me is that when we look at our children, I really recognize them as tremendous gifts that we've been given. And I do mean gifts because they're full of promise, they're full of possibilities, and they're full of dreams. They are gifts. And one of the sad epithets of my life in terms of in this community here, I don't know the number of kids that I've buried in this area that were killed by other kids. Now, the only time people really need clergy is when you're hatched, matched, and detached. That's usually when people call on us. But that is one of the most sad epithets that I've ever had to do is do funerals for kids. And some of them that I knew real well. And I always had mixed feelings while I was doing the eulogy. Because some of them shouldn't have been dead if their parents were involved in their education. I'm thinking of one particular young man, he was 14 years old, shot twice. And at the funeral, I'm just thinking, what could he have become? What could he have become? Could he have been an engineer? Could he have been a professional athlete? Could he have been a teacher? But what could he have become? And those dreams and possibilities and hopes were all dashed with 2 bullets. And then I started thinking, he was killed at 1:30 in the morning. Hello, 1:30 in the morning. So now you got to ask that question. Come on now, come on, talk to me. Where was the people that was supposed to be watching over him? his grandmother or his mother or his father? Where were they at? And so I always had mixed feelings in doing those funerals. One of the other ones, by the time we reached the father to tell him that his son was dead, the father was so high he couldn't even understand what we were saying on the phone. So listen, folks, one of the things as parents that I want you to know, I want you to know that as a parent, you are a lighthouse for your children in times of fogginess. You are a rock in the middle of the sea. You're an anchor for your kids. You that small, still voice that they hear inside of them when they got to make tough decisions. In other words, as somebody instructed me, this is what you are as a parent. Are you listening to me? You are an architect for the blueprint of your children. Everybody say, I'm an architect. Don't say it if you don't mean it. You are an architect of a blueprint for your children. And so when you set that blueprint up, it is set up because the first classroom of any child is the heart of the mother and the father. That's where they sit first. Then they sit in the classroom. So you are an architect. But as a parent of 4 myself, listen to me. Parents mess up. I don't hear nobody helping me with this. Parents mess up, and sometimes circumstances are in the way, and sometimes it's downright evil, if I can put it like that. Evil gets in the way. Now listen, when we mess up as parents, I don't see nobody smiling. Smile a little bit now. I'm almost finished. When we mess up, listen, learn to do this. Don't curse it, and don't nurse it, and definitely don't rehearse it, but reverse it and do something good with it. Is that all right for you? That's what we got to do. Now listen, I want you to look at your neighbor, because I see kids this way. Look at your neighbor. Just look at, I know some people ain't gonna do it because they don't do what preachers say anyway. But just look at your neighbor. You see your neighbor? I want to ask the question. Now, will you talk to me for just a minute, then I'm out of here? I still don't hear you. Because if you won't, I'll sit down. That's all I do. Now listen, have you ever wondered? Now I'm talking about our kids, and I'm talking about you parents. I'm talking about the kids, and I'm talking about the parents. Have you ever wondered why the design of what you just looked at, your neighbor, why the design is in a way that all of the good things are in the front? The eyes, the nose, the mouth, your ears, your feet even going forward. Your hands are ready to go forward. Have you ever wondered why is all of the good stuff in the front? Have you ever thought about that? You never thought about that? Yeah. Well, listen, I gave it a lot of thought. Now, how many got driver's license in here? Very good, very good, very good, very good. Now, listen, I'm still talking about the same thing. Now, when you get in your car, there's a big windshield, amen, and there's a small rearview mirror. Now, watch yourself. Which one should you pay the most attention to? Oh, how many got their license again? Now, hold on. Now, let me say, now, when you get in your car, there's a big windshield and a small rearview mirror. Which one should you spend the most time looking through? That's right. And you know why? Because you're going forward. You and your children, you are designed to go forward, not backwards. You're designed to go forward. But now, wait a minute. You must look in that rearview mirror every now and then and reflect. Everybody say reflect. You got to reflect to see what's on the right side, left side, what's behind you, so you can correct and go forward. So when we mess up, we need to reflect to correct. Are you with me on that? We need to reflect to correct, folks, because parents do mess up. And let me just close by saying, folks, the distance between dreams and reality. Somebody with me back there. I'd like them. The distance between dreams and reality is called action. Be resolved to stay involved with your kids. Change the narrative. God bless you.
I'm going to introduce you next to some people who can go forward and backwards, left and right. I'm talking about the University of Hartford Hawks and their coach and one of their players. By the way, as they're coming forward, the reason Eric Crawford came to Hartford is because he got a scholarship to play basketball at the University of Hartford. I don't know how I feel about him. You know, I guess I'm happy that they brought him here, but I'm a Hawk fan. Come on up here, stand on up here. I'm gonna stand up here by you. A lot of people wonder, what sport did I play? 5'4.5". And I was a center on a midget basketball team, and we lost one game because I got called for goaltending, and but enough about me. Ladies and gentlemen, the coach of the Hartford Hawks, Coach Kim Mcneil, beginning her 3rd year at Hartford. Coach Mcneil, here you go, take my...
Good evening. My name is Kim Mcneil. I'm the head women's basketball coach at the University of Hartford. And I know some of you guys are probably wondering, why would Eric have a basketball coach come and talk to you guys this evening? But first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Eric for having me and some of my players here. We're really looking to get involved in the community, have a group of unbelievable young women that I think can be great role models for a lot of little girls in this area. So we're looking to get out into the community. But you know, when you talk about family, that's a big part of my program. And that's what we really pride ourselves on. We pride ourselves on being a family. So when I go out and me and my assistants go out and we recruit all across the country, family is really, really big to us, and we speak that a lot. And we're not only recruiting the young lady, we're recruiting the family, the parents. And we're looking around and we're seeing how engaged are they as far as being involved in the young women's lives and being a support for them and allowing them to go out and do the things that they want to do, and just being on both ends of that, being a student athlete as I was growing up and having that family support from my mom and my dad. I don't know if I would be here today if it wasn't for them. And now on the other side of it, I have a set of twins that are 5-year-olds, a boy and a girl, and so now I'm seeing both sides of it and just understanding what it really means to be a part of my children's lives and how important it is to lay that foundation for them, to give them the support that they need in order to be successful in whatever it is they choose to do. Not pushing them to go into basketball, but whatever they choose to do, to be a support system for them and knowing how important it is, because now I've been on both sides of it. So I just ask for you guys, just be there for your children. Be there. I know it's hard. Sometimes you have to work, and the job that I have is very, very demanding. My husband's on staff with me, so we're gone a lot. So what do? We bring our job to our kids. They travel with us. They're a part of what we do. They're growing up with all of these young women being great role models for them and growing up on a college campus. I don't know if anyone can ask to live a better life than they are, but I bring my job to them. I want them to be a part. I don't want them to feel like they are being pushed to the side because mommy and daddy has to work all the time. So I know how important that support is, and I just ask for you to continue to be there for your children. And now I'm going to introduce Elizabeth Garcia, one of my players, to kind of talk to you about how important it was for her family and her parents to be a part of her life.
Hi, everybody. So I think we all know how important family is, and I think it's important to realize that as children, because we're so naive and we're just so caught up in what's going on in our lives as children, as we grow up is when we really start to understand and realize how important family is to us. So now that I'm in college, I see how important it was, how much it meant for my parents to be there for me. I was fortunate enough to have parents who were very involved, and I wouldn't be here with Coach Kim and the rest of my teammates at Hartford if it weren't for them, if they weren't the ones. As many hours as I was spending training was the same amount of hours they were spending driving me, sitting around just waiting for me, and without them I would not be here. I wouldn't be able to have the future that I could possibly have. But I also, Coach Kim mentioned being role models, and I think that's really important, especially at Hartford, because we love when we see our fans come in, and we love when we see their parents come in, because not only are they our fans' parents, but they're our parents. Not only are my teammates' parents their parents, but they're my parents, you know? my parents weren't always able to come to every game, but some of my teammates' parents were at every single game. And because they were there, I felt like I had my family there. So it's not just being there for your child, but being able to be there for children whose parents can't be there. So I think that's really important. And we, as the basketball team, love to be role models for children who come in and watch us, because I know a lot of children look up to us. So when we see them at our games, and I know we have a game where it's just all the public schools or the schools come in and it's like our school game and everybody comes in, that game is incredible because everyone's cheering and it makes us feel good knowing that we're giving them enjoyment, we're giving them hope to become what we are and what we could be. So I think family is important to the development of their own child, but to the development of children around the community.
Thank you, Coach. And thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Garcia came all the way from Jersey to play basketball here at Hartford. Thank you. Could all the Hawks stand up? All of you stand up. Let's just give them all some books. Thank you. Doug Mccorkle, by the way, also played basketball at the University of Hartford, and as Tim said, he had a family emergency, couldn't be here today. But I'm going to ask one of his team members, one of his deputies, I think he is, Aaron Ellerby. Where is Aaron? Come on up. Aaron is from Hartford. I asked him, what school did you go to? He listed almost every school in the system. He told me he got kicked out of one and brought back to another, but look at him now.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for coming out. I appreciate you for showing up. It's a wonderful event here. Once again, on behalf of my director and boss, Doug Mccorkle, he would love for you to be here as well, but circumstances wouldn't allow him to do so. I'm going to try to do my spiel less than 2 minutes because I know time is of the essence. The most important thing that I want you to know about family engagement is you matter. Your voice is the most powerful component in your child's success. Family engagement was put together by my staff and administration to have a connection with the family and the communities within Hartford and the families around Hartford. It has been a long time disconnect of families feeling less engaged, less empowered, like they had no voice. But when they took me on, I don't think they were ready for my energy, my enthusiasm, my love, and my personal inspiration to make it something of a reality for the families that I work with. I come to you being of the truth, being of tangibility, and just making sure that you understand that I'm here for you, and the people that are at your tables with you, family engagement liaisons, they are there for you as well. And for the families who have situations that they felt like they couldn't connect with the schools, well, we're here to change that dynamic. We are saying we are getting off our high horses, getting out of our comfort zones, and we're ready to meet you at your comfort zone, where you can feel engaged and your voice is being heard for your child, because your child deserves the greatest education that they could ever have in their lifetime. With that being said, I'm going to go on and move forward and hand the mic back over to the gentleman.
Good job, Aaron. Thank you. So he was a last-minute pinch hitter, and he did a fabulous job. Thank you, Aaron. And well, I'm not even going to tell you what he told me, what they said about him, but look at him now. But at any rate, I want to bring up two people at the very same time, Dana Mccorkle and Kim Green. They are both family engagement specialists. Come on up, Dana and Kim. Where is she? Here she comes. So speak very briefly, because the people are hungry. The people are hungry. The food is over here. The food's... Turn the heater up. Turn it up. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? I'm Dana Mccorkle. I work at Discovery Academy, and I work as a family engagement liaison. I'm very passionate about what I do at the school because I feel like it comes natural to me, because this is something that a lot of people don't understand, that families are not to be just left to look at like they don't want to be in their children's lives. They need that support. They need that inspiration. They need that help. So my day-to-day is full with reaching out to those families, letting others know that, you know what, if you pay attention to the smallest of details, you'll understand that it's not that they just don't want to be there. It's just that there's reasons behind it. Every family is unique. Every family has a situation. Every family goes through many struggles, many problems, a hiccup in their life, like, because it's just life, and that's what happens. And I'm there to support them in any way they need me to support them.
Good evening. My name is Kim Brown Green, and I'm the School and Family our names just changed. I'm sorry. I'm a part of FACES. FACES is Family and Community Engagement Specialist. And I was just visiting the RFC the other day, and I was just sharing some stories with Eric, and he said, I'm going to put you on the agenda, and I want you to share that story. So I've been with CREC for a number of years, and I used to work for the Open Choice Program. And that's my old crew back there. And for those of you who are not familiar, we would be responsible for sending the Hartford students to suburban public schools. And there was one incident where there was a child in Plainville who's she was in 3rd or 4th grade, and they were doing a school project, and they were taking pictures around the school. And this particular child said to her teacher, can you please give me a picture so I can take the picture home to my mom to show my mom the picture of my school, because the mom hadn't been there since registration in kindergarten. So I say all that to say it's very, very important for you all as parents to be vocal, to be visible, to be a part of your school community. We've had some parents say, I don't feel welcomed, you know, they look at me different, they feel ostracized, and it's probably because you're not a familiar face. Is it right? Absolutely not. But if you come on to the school, be a part of the community, take advantage of me and others such as Dana and the rest of my colleagues out here. We are here to support you, to make you feel like you are a part of that school, because that is your school. So thank you for coming, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. You coming up? Well, I think I'm done. Okay, you can applaud for me now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Here.
Thanks, John. I know everyone's hungry, but we just put some closure to it before I introduce our executive director. You heard Tim speak earlier. This is over $1 million investment, right? There's not too many school districts going to invest $1 million on parents. Not in this way. We have some significant services that you may not be aware of. So make sure you're going to get, before you leave today, you're going to get a care kit. And within that care kit is going to be information on different services that CREC offers. If you need help, there's tips on how you talk to your kid if your kid having some issues. How do you build relationships with the schools? There's all kinds of things in that kit. Make sure you look at that. That's like your Bible. That's your school Bible. Because I know I wouldn't be standing here today if my mom wasn't on me. My mom knew what I ate for lunch every day, what shoes I wore to school, and I'm talking about 11th and 12th grade. And even today, she's 82 years old, and she's still involved in my life. And we gotta have that. We have to do it. It's not an option. If we want our kids to be successful, we got to change our lifestyle and invest in our kids, 110%. Now, in order for us to continue these services, we have to have leadership. Leadership to believe in what we do and how we do it. And we do it in a non-traditional way. We don't look like a school system when they come see me. We don't look like a school system when they come see the engagement specialist. and that's by design. And we wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for the leadership of Greg and Tim Sullivan. And I battle with them all the time, right? I don't get their stuff sometimes, they don't get my stuff sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's a win-win for both. So what I want to do is introduce our Executive Director, Greg Torrio. And I think he has done a remarkable job since he's come on board, what, 2-3 years now? 3 years now. Incredible. Okay, Greg.
I do battle with him every day, but I love it when he puts me last on the agenda with the food out. Look, there's nothing I can say that hasn't been said, so I'm just going to reaffirm that CREC is committed to family engagement. All of those people you saw in that video talked about how important it was, but the implied meaning is it's on the family to do that. That's not the way we look at it here at CREC. We are focused this year on building stronger relationships. One of our core values is embracing collaboration. It isn't just about the financial commitment. It isn't the fact that when the state of Connecticut needed someone to lead the effort, not just here in Hartford, not just in the region, but across the state, they looked at CREC. Because when we do things, we do it well, we believe in excellence, and we're not going to do it unless we can be really, really good at it. We are committed to making sure that our families are engaged in our schools and that your children are going to be successful. That is who we are. That's what we live every day. And now, I'm going to call up Pastor Lane to say a blessing so that you can eat. Thank you very much.
Folks, could we just stand and we will, if you so desire, would you bow your heads with me, please? Our God, our Father, we come before you and we thank you so much for the many blessings that we have encountered here tonight. We thank you for the hard-working administration, and we ask that you continue to strengthen their resolve. We now ask that you would bless this food, strengthen it to our bodies, to our minds, and to the service that we have to our children. We do pray that you would continue to also bless this country and help us to get things right. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
One last thing. All you guys have raffle tickets, right? We got tons of things to give away tonight. And I want to thank the Yargos for that. They're very generous with their hospitality today and some of the other things they've done to make this a successful event. So after we eat, we're going to come back in about 20 minutes and we're going to raffle it off. Then you guys can go home and be with your kids. All right?
Hi, my name is Mina Copelan. I am a Parent Senate member. I am also a part of my children's PTO at IMS, International Magnet School of Global Citizenship. Tonight at this parent engagement meeting, I learned a lot about what I can do as a parent to become more involved in what my kids do at school and how I can have a voice in what happens at my children's school and what it is they are learning. Also, I just want to state that, you know, as a parent of IMS, I've been there, my kids have been there since pre-K 3. I love the fact that they are very family oriented and my kids get to learn a lot about different cultures and the diversity that they're brought upon when they're at school. So I think it's a great thing to learn about different cultures and different families and different types of families. And that's one thing that I like about my children being at IMS is that they get to learn those different things and meet with different people. And I learn about different parents and different communities, and we try to come together and do stuff as a great CREC program at IMS.
Hi, my name is Kalani Hughes, and my children attend CREC Montessori Magnet School. Creating connections with families is a challenge at magnet schools, but CREC parent engagement specialists have many initiatives from various levels, from parent to parent or teacher to teacher, and it is great. We hope that parents this year understand that we have a voice and speak your voice boldly. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Yula Enriquez, and I'm a parent to 2 boys that attend Anna Grace Academy of the Arts Magnet School.
What's something that you learned tonight?
something you heard that really was important for you?
What I learned is that CREC now has representatives that represent the parents at the school. And for a parent like me that goes through a lot of ups and downs, I think it's really amazing that the school has finally have this type of service for parents that are going through a rough time. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you. I'm so thankful that this is here for me. And I'm looking forward to working with you throughout the years while the boys are going to school. And I feel a little bit more like things will be better for us. That we have a representative that can represent us and really understand our world.
Hi, my name is Tia Miller, and I'm the Family and Community Engagement Liaison at Honor Grace. And I'm so glad Eula was able to come tonight, and a lot of the other families that came. We learned a lot, and I'm happy to start this journey with the families at Honor Grace.
I want to also say, I want to also thank you for interpreting. I really appreciate that you were able to do that. This has been one of the rare times that I've attended anything outside of just a parent meeting, and it's really been fun, and I appreciate that you made the extra effort. You have the service. Thank you. Poor family.
There's unity in the community.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.